Hello, welcome. Welcome to the next PTC User Expert webinar series. My name is Ron Watson. I am the Director of Content for PTC User on my part-time job. I'd like to welcome you to this next event. And before we get started, I just want to make a few announcements. I didn't prepare any formal slides because all of you would have received the update from Margie on Monday, but we have our January event, which is the 28th to the 30th, January 2020 in Scottsdale. We still have room. The hotels are filling up, so if you can, get registered, please do so as soon as possible. It's $650 for the entire event. We're going to have some good food and some good activities and some good networking. So please try to join us. Also, LiveWorks is scheduled for June 8th through 11th in 2020. That is in Boston again at the Boston Conference Center. If you are going to register for the event, which we highly recommend, use the code PTCUser20, and that will get you the best available price at that time, no matter what discounts are going on. So again, we encourage you to attend that event as well. So since we have a full agenda here, I want to introduce Jean-Pierre. He has been generous enough to step up and work with PTC User, Brian, myself, and the team to come up with a series of bi-monthly webinars based on input from all of you. So one of the follow-ups to this event will be a poll, and we're going to get you. We want to get your feedback to this. But since Jean-Pierre has a full agenda, we wanted to get right into it, allow enough time for the presentation, and of course enough time for the Q&A. A reminder: we'll be doing the Q&A not by voice, but through the Q&A box. I'll be monitoring that. So please type in your questions as they come along during the webinar, and then Jean-Pierre will address them at the end. So again, no further ado, Jean-Pierre, will you take over from here?
Yes, thanks, Ron. So first of all, thanks for everyone for joining. So as Ron said, please don't hesitate to use the Q&A to ask questions. We'll make regular stops to cover these and answer them during the session, or in case I cannot cover that immediately, well, we just keep a note of them and I will reply it later on by mail. So feel free to ask questions. And okay, so we'll get going. So just first let me introduce myself. So myself, I'm Pierre Le Coz. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm currently working for PTCU. I'm a PLM practice lead at PTC, and I'm working for PTC since 94, so quite a long time ago. I've been first technical sales, and then I moved on the service organization, implementing Windchill to manage CAD data during about 50 years. And I'm now focusing on transmitting experience to my peers and customers. So some course I've worked recently, the Windchill 11.2 update course, an update of the managing design variation with Windchill course that I extended to 2 days to cover the Windchill platform module capabilities. The Windchill REST API, the CRIO Advanced Modeling 1 and 2 for the new CRIO subscription offering. So the idea of this seminar came initially from the fact that our course portfolio is broad, and you may know all what we are covering, from fundamental topics to other which are more advanced. So today's objective is to show you an excerpt of our advanced courses. It is the TRN 5231, which is called the Mastering CAD-Driven Project Structure Management with PTC Windchill. And I will be focusing on various possibilities to manage component quantities on connected structures. Note that that course is also covering other topics that we will not cover today, which is around using model check as gatekeeper, reviewing various part-to-CAD association methods, or creating a CAD structure from project structure using a reverse build, or using CRIO to position components. So right now we are just focusing on managing component quantities on connected structures. That's the topic of the day. So before jumping to the exercise, let's have a refresher and review some concepts. So the first one is the concept of the CAD-driven project structure. In this case, the CAD structure creation and edition drives the product structure. And the product structure is aggregating all the product data describing your product. Configuration specification in Windchill allows you to filter the structure to track the product along its life cycle from early design to the release for manufacturing. And notice that the product structure may be completely or partially CAD-driven based on your requirements. It's up to you. So here you can see the typical development workflow, which is combining what we call the top-down design activities and with some detailed design activities. So for example, you may have a product architect which starts to define an upper-level product structure that meets the requirements. Then several activities will start. You have the product architect that will define maybe the product family. The purchasing department will work on sourcing some long lead items, and the design engineers will start to investigate the feasibility of the technical solutions and to define the detailed design too. So at some point of time, usually it's at a product development milestone or gate, there will be a reconciliation phase to connect the activities of the design team with the upper structure. And the product structure is often the result of such a mixed approach, a combination of top-down and something coming from the bottom-up approach. So that leads to a product structure that we usually call an engineering BOM that will be used in the downstream activities like the manufacturing process definition or the ERP communication. To do so, several tools are required to enable this top-down approach. We need to have some tools to create the conceptual product structure and transform it. You need to have tools to compare the product structure and the CAD structure to identify differences and provide some tools to reconcile both structures. And you need also to have a tool to create CAD document and structure based on the product structure using what we call the reverse build, means that start creating the CAD structure from the product structure. So in which context can we use these various tools? Well, here you see on the picture these two structures, the product structure and the CAD document structure, and you see some tools that are highlighted, a new part, compare tool, positioning CRIO view, creating Windchill, creating CRIO, workspace edit associate. So let's review that more in detail. So you have the new part creation, for example, that is a way to provide the ability to create the CAD document when creating a Windchill part. So you do that in the same time. You create the part and the CAD document. Then you have the product structure browser that is used to create a product structure and to edit it within Windchill. You have a tool inside CRIO view which allows you to position the components. So even if you're without using the CAD session, you can use CRIO view to locate components. And then you have other tools like the create structure from the CAD structure from the part structure with the compare tool, mean that the system is reading the part structure and based on that is able to create the CAD structure. And then you have other tools to create in CRIO and associate the CRIO part with existing part. It's mainly all the tools which are available inside the workspace edit associate. Yeah. So if we look more in details those different tools, we have the new part. So here you see the tools that is used to create a new part. So when you select a new part action, you have this wizard. So the first part of the wizard is to define attributes related to the part. You start always by defining the part type, and based on the part type, then you have some choices that are adjusted in the window. It's basically based on the business rules that you set at Windchill side. And if you check the small box on the bottom, which is create CAD document, you will create on the fly also the related CAD document. And when you create this CAD document, you can have some fields that are automatically populated. So by default, when you create a CAD document, you specify which authoring application. If you want to use a specific CAD template, but you can see that the number of the name can be automatically populated from the Windchill part. So that's a new part, the new part action. The other tool is what we call the product structure browser. So you can see a picture here. So it's so within your web browser, you can display a part and the structure connected to this part. So within that UI, you can create parts, edit parts. You can rename Windchill parts. You can move part between different locations. So you can do many editions within that part, within that UI. And you have several tabs that do allow you to visualize the product graphically, and also to see more details about the members of the structure. So you can see the list of used components, you can see all the occurrences of a given components, and so on. So that's a product structure browser, which is a key element. Then another key element when working with two different structures, the CAD and product structure, is the compare tool. So the compare tool is an utility that allows you to compare CAD and part structure. So with this tool, you can do side-by-side comparison of the structure. You can easily identify the differences. You can do some additions. And you can also use that tool to build the structure. Means that if I have a product structure, I can use this tool to build the CAD structure based on the product structure. So that's a very important tool when we are working on with a top-down approach. So starting from the part structure, going down to the CAD document structure. So if you have a structure, a CAD assembly that has been created from the compare tool that I've just shown before, what do I get when I open that inside CRIO? And in fact, what do I get is what you can see here. You get an assembly, and you can see that the components are there, but they have a specific representation. And in fact, you don't see anything inside the visualization, the view, graphical view of CRIO, because of course CRIO doesn't know how to assemble those components. So those components are inside the CRIO assembly with a specific dependency type, which is called included dependence. So what you can do right now from within CRIO is that you can just select each of those components and then assemble them. And when they are assembled using the normal CRIO capabilities, you can then see the assembly and these components. So the other possibility that we have is that, in fact, we can, of course, edit quantities inside the product structure. So we do that inside the product structure browser. So it's usually by default the quantity of a CAD linked of a CAD structure linked to a Windchill part is set at check-in, and usually it's equal to the CAD model structure. So by default, we have the same quantity for parts than we have for the CAD models. That's what we have but it is possible to adjust that or to change that. So if the intent is to drive the quantity addition from the product structure, it is possible. We can change it in Windchill, and how you make that is determined if you desire to build that quantity change back to CAD or not. And you have the choice, in fact. Either you just change that inside the product structure, or you may want to populate that in the CAD. So if the intent is to drive the quantity addition back to the CAD, then you must create what we call the part occurrences. And this is accomplished inside the PSB tab. You can see right now on the display that there is a tab called occurrences, which is listing all occurrences of a given component. So here, for example, I can see that for bolt 636, I have 4 occurrences. So that's a way to track the accurate location of each occurrence of the component. So if we want to populate the quantities from the product structure to the CAD model, we need to have this occurrence created. If we don't need to populate this quantity update inside the CAD, then we can just use the users tab that is available also, and here we can just change the quantity without creating occurrences. So if you change, if you create a structure, a CAD structure, using this top-down approach. So you use you created the part structure, Windchill part structure. You use the compare tool to create the CAD assembly, and then you open that inside CRIO. You will get such a window here. So when you're opening the model, in fact, CRIO detect that this assembly has been created, and I would say, and dependencies have been edited by Windchill, and it will show you this window, and it will show you the differences and what's new inside this assembly. In that case, for example, it's just listing that 2 bolts have been added. So there is a color code, which means that those 2 bolts have been, which shows that those 2 bolts have been created. And I have to decide what I want to do with this bolt. Either I want to keep it, or maybe I want to reject it. If I reject it, it means that they will stay inside the pro structure, but they will never be present inside the CAD model. If you want to know more about this change user interface, you can look the CRIO parametric topics. There is a specific topic regarding that. So using Windchill, you can manipulate the quantities. It means that you can add or delete occurrences of some components. And in fact, you can either delete one occurrence of the bolt, or you can decide to delete all the occurrence of a given bolt reference. So that in that case, you can see on this picture 2 different dialog boxes. The first one on top is when you are just removing one occurrence of a given component. In that case, Windchill will ask you what you want to do with the CAD. So do you want to propagate this change from Windchill to the CAD? And if you complete all the occurrences of a given bolt, then you have the other dialog box, which is in the bottom, which is just asking you what you want to do, because here you are deleting. It's not only just propagating the change to CAD, you also potentially removing the users' relationships along with the occurrences. So that's something that you can decide when you proceed to such a deletion of occurrence or inside the part structure. The last element of the lecture, and then we'll make a pause because I see that there are some few questions, is the bulk items, because that's another way to manipulate the quantities on the product structure. You can do that from CRIO. Means that inside CRIO, we have a CRIO capability called the bulk items. It's usually something that is used to define some components that are in the bill of material, but that do not have any visualization. So in that case, for example, I can use that to add in the BOM, I don't know, some silicone seal, or to add some grease and so on. And the good thing of this capability is that I can also specify the units. So it means that what you see on the screen, for example, is that I am currently creating, well, you don't see exactly the component that I was creating, but the idea was to create a component for grease and to specify weight, a specific weight for this grease. So here, for example, I have a quantity of 10 grams of a given grease. So you can define the quantity, the unit inside CRIO, and when you will check in that the assembly that is containing this bulk item, and when you create the price structure related to that, you will see that you will get the grease component with the right quantity inside the price structure. So that's another way also to manipulate the quantities, but starting from CRIO. All right, so that was the lecture. So we can make a stop because I see that there are some Q&A, so we can review them before jumping on the exercises.
Absolutely, and I was going to suggest that just because they were focused in that area, the last few slides you went through. So let's start with Justin. How do you change the BOM as a draft for review before doing the live updated? what you are showing there is live and only conveyed once checked in. We do what you are showing as part of a change process, but the issue we are having is conveying what to change before execution.
Oh yeah, but in fact, well, I would say that well, before, a long time ago in Windchill, we had the ability to create such a draft view for the code structure before converting into the. But right now, the way to manage that is really to manage that through the change process, I would say. So you can edit the BOM, and then when the BOM is released, you get you're moving from the draft to the released version of the BOM, I would say. So.
Okay, good. Next question from. Oh, did I hit the wrong one? Oh, I think I hit the wrong. All right, let me move on. Christian here. Is there any way to build part structure with length as a unit? For example, 6 feet of cable required.
Well, that's right now. You have seen that I presented the bulk item that would allow that, but in fact, the bulk item do not have geometry. So I don't know if you want to have geometry or not related to that. And also, when you're talking about cables, we have some capabilities inside CRIO on cabling that do enable some capabilities around there. So honestly, I cannot answer that. I think that there are no simple or generic reply for that, because as I said, you could use bulk item in some cases if you don't have geometry. Otherwise, you could investigate on the cabling capabilities inside CRIO, or else we can have a solution directly inside Windchill. But yeah, there are multiple solutions in that case. Yeah.
Okay. Good, thank you. Next one for Mike. Can you drive occurrences back to Inventor or CATIA assemblies?
Good question. I cannot answer to that question because I never tested that inside with Inventor or CATIA, honestly. So that should be tested.
Okay.
I think the compare tool can be used, but then what you get inside Inventor or CATIA after you run the compare action. Well, I never tested it. That should be tested. Yeah, I cannot tell you. Sorry.
No, okay. Maybe we can follow up on that. Thank
yeah,
you for
exactly.
that yeah. From Gavin, do workgroup manager integrated CAD tools offer similar bulk item capability?
Well, bulk item capability is a CRIO capability. So it's not inside the workgroup manager. It's really inside the CAD application. So I don't know if there are some similar capabilities inside SolidWorks or Inventor or CATIA. I'm sure there are some similar. But right now, I don't know if they are managed by the workgroup manager, which is a specific CAD integration. Yeah.
Okay, good. From Johnny, can as required unit of measure be handled using the bulk item approach?
What do you mean by as required? What do I don't know exactly what is meant by as required, because there is one thing that I want to point when I'm using this capability with when setting the unit inside the bulk item. Well, I create the bulk item, I set a quantity, and I add it inside an assembly. But of course, in that case, I'm creating a grease component, but the grease component, well, it can be used in many different assemblies with different values in terms of quantities. Maybe in one assembly I have 10 grams, another assembly I will have 20 grams of the same grease components. So in that case, when I'm creating my bulk item and setting my quantity, I have the ability to ask to CRIO to ask for the quantity value every time I am inserting that grease component inside a new assembly. So I don't know if that answers the question, but it is possible to adjust, to have different quantities for the same components in multiple assemblies in that case.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so Johnny, if that wasn't clear, just submit another question. We'll get to it. So, Justin, again, does the quantity when using a bulk component update when it is made flexible? Is your grease example, in your grease example, it is one number, but each assembly it is in the quantity will vary?
So that's what I said. In fact, when you assemble the grease assembly, the grease component, you can define the different quantity of this grease inside the different assemblies. So yeah, it's possible to have, of course, variable value for the quantity. Yeah.
Excellent. Good. From Dimitri, I encountered problems in CRIO 2 after creating part structure in Windchill 10.2. Assembly in CRIO does not understand what positions connected CAD components must have, especially family table components.
Well, it's difficult to answer to that question because I need to know the context about the situation. So sorry, I will not answer to that one. I would need to know much more about the situation to provide a clear answer on that.
Okay. Yeah, good thing. So maybe, Dimitri, again, maybe you can just submit something more detailed, even if we follow up after.
Yeah.
From Joe, is there any way to omit a specific occurrence from the BOM in CRIO?
Oh yes, definitely. Yes. You can. You can easily do that. Yeah. And in fact, there is one exercise that I will show, which is just showing that scenario where someone is editing the point structure without updating anything on the CRIO side. So maintaining a difference between the two structures. Yeah, it's possible.
Okay. All right. So next one from Dave. We'll take the next three questions or four, and then we'll pause and go back to the exercises. So David, does the CRIO view changes UI only appear due to Windchill changes that impact the CRIO file dependencies, or can CRIO actions separate from the Windchill trigger as well? I'm not sure I understand.
Well, in fact, this CRIO view change UI only appears when there are some changes on the CAD structure which have been done by Windchill. So it detects that something has been changed on the CAD structure without any control from CRIO. So that's when you get this message clearly. So it's really a way to review the result in CRIO and validate the changes that have been run on the Windchill side. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you. So we'll take one more, and then we'll pause and go back to the exercises. So can I create a bulk item from Windchill and have it assembled in CRIO after the build?
Well, I think. Well, I don't know if you can do that directly on the fly. When you assemble a component inside CRIO, you can immediately create the part on the fly. So I never tested if you can create on the fly a bulk item, because that could be a way to address this question. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. So everybody keep submitting the questions. I know some of you have been submitting them in the chat. If you could just move them over to the Q&A. This way we have a transcript of the question as well. So let's move back to the exercises, and then we'll go back to the questions after the exercises.
Okay. All right. So just to let you know, the exercises are based on the data set that is inside the VM that we are using for PTCU training. So it's this pump, which is containing 3 sub-assemblies and the skeleton part. So we are working using that to run the exercises. So the first exercise is around. So again, it's really the standard exercise from the PTCU training. It's not really a demo. It's really the exercise scenario that I played. I just skipped some steps when they were a bit too long, but it's really exactly the same scenario. So here it's an example of managing quantities with a full, I would say, top-down approach. It means that we have different roles. We have the CAD user and we have the product architect. And the addition will first occur on the product structure. And we want to propagate that change down to the CAD assembly. So it's really a top-down from product structure down to the CAD assembly. So let's start the video here. So it's the CAD. In fact, here we can see that I'm right now connected as Mike Jones, and I will add 2 bolts in the BOM. So I'm first checking out the structure. I will just add 1 pane in the bottom of the screen to display the occurrence tab, and I will add 2 new occurrences of a given bolt. So adding occurrences is done inside this occurrence tab. So I will scroll down inside this table, and I will type the bolt name or numbers that I want to add. So I just use these auto match capabilities available in Windchill. So it is detecting the bolt and proposing me the right bolt. And right now I'm just adding 2 occurrences of this bolt 412. If I look the users, now I have quantity 3. So I have added two new bolts inside my product structure, which are absolutely not existing inside my CAD assembly. So I will check in my product structure. Right. So now the next step is that I want to update the CAD assembly. So I will use the compare tool. So that's a UI that is now displayed. So a system is asking me a workspace because I'm editing also the CAD assembly when doing so. So I need to work inside the workspace, even if it's hidden. So you can see on the left side my product structure, on the right side the CAD assembly, and you can see that there are some holes inside the CAD assembly around the bolt 412. You know, for 2 of these bolts, we don't have any object displayed on the CAD side. So what I will do inside the compare tool is to run what we call the build. So I will select the components. I will decide the action of this component to build, and then I will run the build. And when I run the build, you will see that the pump housing assembly will be iterated. Right now it is A1, and now the pump housing is now A2. It has been iterated. So I really updated the CAD assembly using this compare tool. So I have updated the CAD assembly, but of course, in the CAD, I haven't done anything right now. So now we'll jump into another user, G. Evans, that will complete the work by locating the bolt in the CAD assembly. So John Evans is connecting to CRIO. So I have a look on my workspace, and I will first get some space and search for the assembly. So before searching for the assembly, I will just change my table view to see the objects that are out of date, because since the assembly has been iterated, normally I should be able to see something, some obsolete object inside my workspace, and just changing my display, and you can see that the pump housing is right now outdated. So I will first update it to get the latest iteration before opening it inside CRIO. Yeah, okay. All right, so let's open it now. All right, so here you see the change window that appears. So because the modification has been done on the Windchill side only, so I can browse. Right now I can show everything, or I could just filter what has changed. Also some filters that are available on top of the window, and I can see that the 2 bolts have been added. So of course I will accept, because I as a CAD designer, I will have to locate these bolts. So I will accept them. Of course, I will have to check out my assembly. And I will know just, you can see the specific representation inside the model tree. So it means that those components are there, but they are not placed. So I will now have to define their position. With just, yes, editing the placement. All right, so I will just go a bit faster on the assembly sequence, because it's pretty classic. It's just a pure CRIO assembly. Yeah, you can see that I'm just locating the different components, assembling them. Yeah, and just checking the so. All right, now I have my 3 bolts, and what I will do right now is that I will do the checking. Yeah, in fact, it's that's the end of the exercise. So that's, you can see, so you have seen the scenario, editing the point structure, using the compare tool to create a CAD assembly, and then going inside the CRIO to locate the components to finalize the work. So that's a typical top-down approach that can be run. All right. So in terms of timing, I just have to keep an eye on the timer right now, because Ron, how long is the session right now? How much minutes do we still have?
We have 24 minutes remaining.
Okay, good to go. All right, I just wanted to check that with you. Perfect. Okay, so let's jump on the next exercise, which is again an addition of the point structure, but without changing anything on the CAD assembly. So in that case, yeah, we'll have my joint that will, product architect that will remove 1 bolt, and well, we'll just keep that difference inside the structure. So it's very similar to the previous scenario, except that we don't do anything on the CAD side, in fact. So you can see that I will check out my CAD assembly, my point structure. So I want to remove 1 bolt, so it means that, so you can see that the object, yes, is checked out. I go in the occurrence and I can remove 1 bolt instead of having like we did previously. And you see this dialog box which proposes me to propagate the change to CAD or not. So here I'm not checking the propagate change to CAD. So I've done my change. So what I will do, what I will do right now, I think, is you can see on the use that, of course, the use has changes. Now I now have only 3 bolts. And I will know the checking. Okay. So if we compare the structure now, because I have the point structure, which is now having 1 bolt removed, but I still haven't changed anything on the CAD assembly. So you can see that if I run the compare activity, I will be able to see the differences. So I will just click on OK, to select the right filter, and you can see that, well, on the top, well, you see something very similar, but if we scroll down, you will see that we have one bolt that is only on the CAD side and that is not existing on the part structure because we remove it from the part structure. So I will now scroll down and you will see the difference. Yeah, you can see on the bottom the bolt C636, which has no equivalent in terms of occurrence inside the part structure. So now I have a difference and I will live with that because I decided not to propagate that inside the CAD structure. Yeah. All right. So that's the second exercise. The next exercise is a bit. Just continuing. We are a bit short on time, so I'm just moving on this exercise, and then I will make a stop for the question. Here it's a bit more complex. It's maybe more real life. It means that, in fact, we have two users working together on the structure. We have the product architect that is working on the product structure, and we have the CAD user, Jonathan Evans, that is also working. And in that scenario, even if I present it linearly, in fact, we have different actions. So it means that the CAD user will start to work inside CRIO, assemble some bolts. Then the product architect will also work on the structure, and we'll see how the system will reconcile the change occurring between those two users. So I'm starting first as a CAD designer, adding a bolt. So I just open it. So since I'm adding a bolt, I will of course check it out before opening the CAD assembly. And I will now just assemble one bolt. So I'm just showing the pump right now. And I will assemble that side bolt. So I'm just moving a bit faster on the bolt assembly. So as a CAD designer, I have added one bolt. I will check in my work. So I'm doing a custom checking to create a visualization on the fly from my client because it's on the PTCU PLMs. All right. So I've done my change. Now I will switch to the other user, which is the product architect, which is also working on the product structure related to this CAD structure, and he's adding a second bolt. So he's working on the product structure while the CAD designer was working on the connected CAD assembly. So as my agents, I will open the power pump structure. And I will add, so I will change the quantity. So here, what I will do is that I will just do a shortcut because I don't know anything about occurrences. So I will just update the users without looking specifically the occurrence. I will just quickly just do my edits just by updating the users link. So I have, yeah, I can see that here I have my structure, my bolt with right now a quantity of 1. I will just directly update the quantity here. So I'm not taking care of occurrences. I'm just directly updating the users link. So if I look here, by the way, you will see that if I try to use a compare tool to build the product structure, the CAD structure, sorry, in fact, the system will refuse that because I have just updated the users and not the currents, and you have a specific small icon here that is showing that it's a non-occurrence. So even if you try to build it, as I'm currently doing, well, I'm trying to build it, but the system will refuse to do it. You see the object is marked as excluded here, meaning that he cannot just do the CAD assembly because I just did my edit inside the users link. But okay, I will continue my work and I will do the check-in. And let's say I will ask the CAD designer to proceed to the assembly of the second bolt. So I'm just doing my check-in. Okay, just go a bit faster here. Yeah. So I've done my check-in. And let's say I have communicated to the CAD designer to complete the work. And so as a CAD designer, I will open this assembly and I will just add the missing bolt inside my CAD assembly. Right, so I will now assemble my bolt, so check out my assembly. I will search for my bolt, type in the name. And I will locate it. All right. So the CAD designer has done the edition on the CAD side. So what he will do right now is that he will check in his work. So I'm currently running the check-in. I just go a bit faster on the check-in phase. Okay, it's done. And now we can take the role again of the product architect, which is just reviewing the results. So right now, as a product architect, I can display the product structure. And normally now I will, well, not normally for sure, I will notice in that I have this the bolt quantities, of course, that is updated, but also that in the visualization I can see the correct the bolts that have been added by the CAD designer. So it means that the structure has been reconciliated. So even if I just, as a product architect, edited only the user's link for the bolt, the fact that the CAD designer has added the bolt inside CRIO and that he did a check-in as a result, has reconciliated the structure. And you can see right now on the display that I have the two bolts that do appears right now inside my product structure, also inside the visualization. So Windchill is able to correctly locate the bolts, and that means that occurrences have been created by the CAD application automatically. And if I compare the structure, normally the structures are identical. Yeah, they look the same. So right now you can see that for the bolts I have two occurrences which are mapped to two occurrences inside the CRIO structure. All right, so that's complete the third exercise, which was covering the scenario with two users, one working specifically in the product structure, the other one working on the CAD. So you can see that they can work together. The last exercise is around the CRIO bulk item usage. So, and then after that we'll take time for Q&A. So let's jump on this last exercise. So here the scenario is that it's a CAD designer that is creating this bulk item. So he has to add a component for grease with a specific unit quantity, and he has to assemble it. So I will, in terms of task, we will first create a bulk item, we will assemble it, and then we'll check in the assembly, and then we will take a look on the resulting part structure. So first thing is to create the bulk item. So you can see here, I select bulk, I name it. Okay. Then when I'm creating bulk item, I have this parameter window that appears, so I can add additional parameters. For example, here I am just adding a material to specify the material value. Okay, so I will say that it is a lithium grease, and I want to specify a specific quantity. So how do I do that? So there is a specific parameter called the BOM report quantity that is created by default in the bulk item. So I will specify here the quantity. Let's say I want 10 grams. So I just set the quantity to 10, and I have to specify the quantity here. And that's here, that's a mass, and it's a gram, it's a quantity in gram. So I just set gram mass. One point I just wanted to highlight here is that I'm just doing a quick pause on the video. You can see this box here, which is a user input. And that's something important when you are creating this bulk item. If you check this box, it means that every time you will insert that grease item on any new assembly, the system will ask you again the quantity, meaning that you will have a different quantity depending on the assembly where you are assembling this grease. So it may be important to check this box. Okay, so let's continue. All right, so I have created my grease component. What I will do right now is that I will just open my assembly and assemble my bulk item. So it's just a classic assembly operation from CRIO. So I will check out my assembly. I will search for my grease components. It appears now in the bottom of the structure. You can see that in the CAD model structure, I have a grease with a specific representation in terms of icon in the tree. So I've added my grease with the quantity. So what I will do right now is that I will proceed to the check-in of the CAD assembly. So. Okay. All right, so now I'm just doing a check-in. You can see that there is a new component added. I will auto-associate part to CAD document because right now the grease doesn't exist inside Windchill, so it will create the grease components, Windchill part for the grease. And now what I will do is that I will just take another user role, Mike Jones, which is a project architect, and I will just take a look on the resulting project structure to see how the project structure was built based on this bulk item setting. Okay, so I can see right now the structure. So you can see the grease which appeared in the structure. And also if we look at the quantity, well, you see a 0.01 kilograms, It's based on the unit system, which is associated to the user. By default, I was in MKS, so it means that Windchill was converting my quantity in kilograms. So the quantity that you have just shown is in line with the quantities that I've set inside CRIO. It's just converted in kilograms. So yeah. So that's complete the last exercise around managing quantities. So now we have a bit of time for a few questions. So Ron.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, I don't think we'll get through all of them, but we'll certainly do a follow-up, which is good. Questions are good.
Yeah.
So the next one from Bradley. So we're going back a little bit in time, right before the exercise. Yeah. Can this functionality be expanded to image associated CAD? Currently, the comparison tool only displays parts that are created in a BOM structure with owner association.
Yes, that's right. Right now, it's by default. It's just owner. Yeah, that's how the system is working right now. So it's not. It doesn't work with this imaging right now. Sorry.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Good. From Johnny again. We typically let manufacturing determine required quantity. So bulk items on our WT part as required unit of measure instead of a specific quantity. So I think he's responding to a previous question he asked, right? With a little more detail.
Okay. Yeah. But in case when talking about LED quantities and for the manufacturing process, that's typically something that's a kind of addition that we can do when using with Windchill what we call NPM link. With NPM link, we can derive the manufacturing BOM from the engineering BOM. That's also a place where we can update the quantities. So it's a bit outside of the today's scope, but that's also one possibility in this case. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Another one from Johnny. Is there any way to drive the reference designator field from component level parameter in CAD?
Well, reference designator, in fact, you can, well, it depends on the CAD application, but I know that on the CRIO side, you can create directly component parameter and use that and display it in the member link of the CAD structure, which can be a way to do that. But in that case, you're not using the reference designator. But yeah, I don't know if there is another possibility to map directly a parameter directly to a reference designator. That's I cannot answer today to that question, but that we can keep that on our list. I can take a look.
Okay. Joe is responding to a previous question, giving a little more detail. So use case is an engineer working in CRIO wants to omit an occurrence from the WT part structure in Windchill. Is there a way to flag that occurrence in CRIO so that when the WT part structure builds in Windchill, the occurrence is automatically omitted? The goal is that there is no separate action required in Windchill.
So the idea is to do that action on the CRIO side, because right now to achieve this result, we have to do it on the Windchill side. We have to omit. We have to remove. Honestly, I cannot immediately answer to that. I'm just thinking about removing occurrences, but that's not the case that you are talking about. You want to add occurrence in the part. But I think you can just use, in that case, you can just add the part inside the post structure using the users link, like we did during the one exercises, and just do that way. In that case, you have the part in the post structure, but not in the CAD, and it will stay like that. That's also one possibility.
Okay, and we'll do one more question, and then what we'll do is we'll follow up in writing to the further questions. With everybody. So last question here from Dan. Is there a best practice for handling flexible components in CRIO that then are tied to specific part instances in Windchill?
Well, I know that we have in Windchill recently, in the recent version of Windchill, we are having some capabilities to manage the flexible components. So we have different solutions because we have two, in fact, there are two solutions. Either we have the same components inside the point structure with a quantity change. So if I am having 2 times the same spring, then I will have the spring with quantity 2. That's one thing. But I know that there are also some possibilities to have some specific naming rules, you know, to add _1, _2, _3. So there are some naming rules that have been added to manage some flexible components. So that's also another possibility. So there are different ways to do that inside Windchill, and basically it's really, I think, driven by the practice on the CAD side here, because we may either you use directly the CRIO flexible component capabilities, or for legacy data, it's quite common that people do we're just renaming every occurrence of a given flexible component with _1, _2, or with some other pattern. So that's why we have the two mechanisms that are available inside Windchill.
Okay. Well, well, good. Well, thank you for that. And again, thank you all for the questions, and we will get to the remaining via writing. Again, a reminder, we'll have another one of these from Jean-Pierre in about 2 months. We'll get that scheduled in. We're going to look for your feedback in a poll. That's going to be a follow-up when this recording is available and published on our portal. We'll have a poll that goes out. We'd appreciate your feedback with that poll so we can capture that. And again, reminder, don't forget about our event in January in Scottsdale. Go to ptcuser.org to find out more, and also about LiveWorks in June as well, using our discount code PTCUser20. So again, thank you all. Jean-Pierre, thank you. And Brian Morales, thank you for helping with managing the Q&A in the chat and getting this set up. Brian's really the one who brought this forward with Jean-Pierre to make this happen. So thank you all, and I wish you all a good rest of your day.
Thanks.